At first glance, these two games look surprisingly familiar. They're both top-down, they're both chaotic, they both throw a lot of enemies at you very quickly. But one of them is considered one of the most influential roguelikes ever made, and the other is a much cheaper game that, on paper, is trying to do something pretty similar. So today, I wanted to answer a simple question: what does the extra money actually get you? Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Game Break. Today, I'm going to be comparing The Binding of Isaac Repentance and Brotato. These are two games that live in the same general space, but approach that space in very different ways. One of them is packed with years of content, secrets, and systems. The other is much more straightforward, cheaper, and immediately readable. This isn't about deciding which game is better, and is definitely not about saying cheap games are worse. It's about how two games with similar foundations can feel completely different once you actually sit down and play them. The Binding of Isaac is a game that feels heavy from the moment you start playing. Not heavy in a bad way, but heavy in the sense that everything feels deliberate. Every room you enter is a small decision. Every item you pick up could completely change your run, for better or for worse. One of the defining features of Isaac is its item synergy system. You're not just picking up upgrades, you're building a run, sometimes without fully understanding what it's going to become until it's too late. And that can be overwhelming. There are hundreds of items, dozens of enemies, multiple endings, and a lot of mechanics the game doesn't explain to you at all. But that's also part of the appeal. Isaac feels like a game that expects you to fail, to experiment, and to slowly learn through repetition. Brotato, on the other hand, feels completely different almost immediately. Instead of rooms, you're placed in a single arena. Enemies spawn in waves, and the goal is very clear: survive. Brotato is much more open about what it's doing. You see more detailed stats between each wave, you see what upgrades do, and you're encouraged to experiment quickly. There's less mystery here, but also less friction. Runs are fast, feedback is immediate, and the game gets you into the fun almost instantly. It feels more arcade-like. Now, this is where the comparisons get interesting, because while these games look similar, they're asking very different things from the player. In Isaac, you're constantly thinking ahead. Should I take this item? What does this combine well with? And am I about to ruin this run? In Brotato, the thinking is more immediate. What helps me survive the next wave? What weapon complements what I already have? Isaac rewards long-term knowledge, while Brotato rewards adaptability. Visually, this difference matters a lot. Isaac can become incredibly busy. Tiers everywhere, enemies overlapping, effects stacking. Brotato stays readable even when things get chaotic. That clarity is something the cheaper game actually does extremely well. Now, this was the part that surprised me the most. I expected Isaac to feel deeper, and it does, but I didn't expect Brotato to feel so consistently satisfying. There's something really enjoyable about understanding a system this quickly, and then mastering it through repetition. Brotato doesn't hide what it's doing, and because of that, it respects your time in a very different way. So what does the extra money actually get you? With Isaac, you're paying for depth, for mystery, for a game that can last you years. With Brotato, you're paying for immediacy, for clarity, and for something you can pick up and enjoy without commitment. Neither approach is wrong. It just depends on what kind of experience you want. Sometimes you want a game that challenges you to learn it, and sometimes you want a game that meets you where you are. And I think both of these games succeed because they both understand that difference. Thanks for watching.